They are both right there at breaking records.
See, but there's the difference. That's a rookie sack record versus the all-time NFL sack record. There's a
Well,
very
TJ Watt is not a rookie.
We're not looking at the defensive rookie of the year. We're looking at the defensive player of the year. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. As always, I am your host, Nick, joined as always by my co-host, Luke.
How is it going?
And our moderator, Tori.
What's up, guys?
Tori, kick us off.
We're going to start off with a very, very first short segment today, college football. Georgia versus Bama. Go.
There's a very 50-50 chance that this goes either direction. Okay, I can see both Georgia and Alabama winning this. I want Georgia to win this. I think Georgia looked better over Michigan than Alabama did against Cincinnati. I think Georgia's a better defense. I think Georgia just had that one really bad game against Alabama, and hopefully they bring it back. I think Georgia has a very strong chance to win this, and I want them to win it. So, come on, Georgia. Do something. In the length of your entire career, do something.
I don't care. No one cares. No one cares. This game would be more interesting if Georgia had beat Alabama once before, but they haven't.
Here's the thing. Isn't Bama the underdogs in this game, though? Isn't that what it's looking like? No? Then I read wrong.
Alabama is ranked higher now, officially. And everyone's back on riding Alabama. I went very quickly from Alabama. This is the worst Alabama team we've seen in forever to, oh, Alabama's going to win it all. So the narrative has flipped very quickly. That's just kind of how college football is around schools like Alabama. So
I'm just glad both schools have a vaccination rate of 85 or higher.
Well, I would like to see Georgia win this game. Honestly, I couldn't care. I feel like this is a game Georgia could win if they wanted. Like, they really wanted this win, and they fought for it and kept it serious. I feel like they could earn it, but
I think this is definitely Georgia's best chance of beating Alabama.
agreed.
I mean, Alabama is literally on a 7-game win streak against Georgia. So,
all right, segment 2, NBA. Kyrie Irving is returning, but as a part-time player. What are y'all's thoughts on this?
Part-time Kyrie is better than no Kyrie, and it showed.
Exactly. My thing is, Alabama's first game, Alabama, still in the last segment. Kyrie's first game back, he dropped 22 points. I think it was 9 for 17 from the field. He did really good. He played well. He played like Kyrie Irving. The team looks better. They're able to space better. They have their big three on the floor. Something has to give. Either he's going to have to give with a vaccine, or the team's going to have to give and take what they want with Kyrie and trading him or not. Because a part-time Kyrie is better than no Kyrie, but you're not going to win with only half of Kyrie Irving. You're going to have to go be at home and win games. If you're going to get that top seed that everyone thinks you're going to get, you're going to be at home the majority of the time. You can't expect to go down 0-2 in a series and then have Kyrie back for 2 games and have a high chance of going 2-2. You have to have him on the fit court. You have to. And apparently Kevin Durant's already come out and said, no, we're not forcing him to get the vaccine. We're not pushing him, which I get. I'm all for not forcing people to do something they don't want to do. I get that. But when it's your job to be on the court, and this is what you have to do to get on the court, you kind of have to give at some point. Something's going to have to give. It's either going to be Kyrie or it's going to be the Nets as an organization. And as we know about Kyrie Irving, he's not one to give in to anything.
So that last game, it was very clear that both KD and Harden were happy he was back. But I think going from not playing to making his season debut and playing like he did, I think he's going to get that itch to want to play in more than just away games. So I could definitely see them coming to a compromise sooner rather than later, whether it's completely Kyrie gets the vaccine and is allowed, or they make some sort of home compromise. I think this is very good for the Nets. Like I said, part-time Kyrie at least is better than no Kyrie. Literally injected life into the offense that game. Fun stat, I don't remember if it's all time or just by anybody this season, but Kyrie dropped the most points in the fourth quarter that game. So Yeah, Kyrie pretty good. They should be glad he's playing again, if only for away games right now.
They won with Kyrie. They beat the Pacers. They destroyed them. Then they went home the next game and they just got whooped by the Bucks. They lost 121 to 109 at home against the Bucks, which kind of
no
proves to me
Kyrie.
with no Kyrie at home. Which kind of I look at this and all I think is I think at one point they were down like 30. You got to have your whole team because if not, this is what happens. You lose by what is that? I'm not good at math. They lost 121 to 109. So they lost pretty badly. They got beat by a top team. I mean, if you can't have one of your best players on the court, your top 3, maybe even top 2, considering how Harden's played this year, you need him on the court. You have to have him there. And it's just so obvious that they can't. They went from destroying the Pacers on an away game to getting destroyed by the Bucks. Like there's a different level between the Pacers and Bucks, of course, but if you're gonna compete with those top teams, you got to have your top guys.
Yeah, against the Pacers, Kyrie had like 3 rebounds and 4 assists, and obviously James Harden had been playing amazing, which is actually you reminded me of that because I think that's part of the reason the Nets come to an agreement with him. It's just because James Harden has been so inconsistent. They can't bet on KD carrying, James carrying, and just being okay without Kyrie anymore because Harden has proved that he's not going to carry like that. So
in the game, Kyrie had 22 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. Harden had 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. Kyrie had 3 steals and a block. Harden only had a steal. Kyrie is better than him on the defensive end of the court. As much as people want to hype up Harden's defense, Harden is very good defensively. He's much better than people think. I think Kyrie is much more of a pickpocket, ball thief, on-ball defender than Harden is. He out plus minus Harden. He had plus 16. Harden had plus 3. I think it just kind of takes a lot of the heave off of Harden then. Because he doesn't have to be that primary guy. He doesn't have to be that go-to scorer. But
it's the big 3 again, not the big 3 minus 1.
Exactly.
Moving on to another player, Klay Thompson, coming back from an Achilles tendon tear. What impact does he have on coming back into the NBA?
80%.
Oh boy.
They just need 80% of Klay. They need him to come in, drop 16 points, and play great defense. That's all they need. Because Klay Thompson's play style is not really going to be affected from the injury. He's going to go out there. He's going to hit his threes. If they can get him to average like 16 points and help the spacing for Curry, that's going to help them so much. Because Curry's been struggling the last couple of games. If they get him back, then we'll see. He's making his season debut Sunday against Cleveland. So
3 years. It's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years since this man was consistently on the court. It's going to be crazy. He's going to be on the court. He's going to look really good. And then that's going to allow guys like Jordan Poole to go into that 6-man position. And that's going to be really good for him. Because Jordan Poole's been really good.
Yeah, if Kyrie's return meant anything, I'm expecting good things from Klay's return. And that scares me. Because the Warriors were like already the best team in the league. And now they're getting amazing. Klay back. So
they're they're top 3 defensive team. They're a great shooting team. Steph's been kind of struggling because teams have been double teaming him. Now you get in Klay, who, when he played in 2018-2019, averaged almost 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists.
Yeah.
That's a really good guy to get back.
He's just another shooting threat. And from what I heard, the guys had just amazing things to say about him while he was injured on the sideline. Like, he's still a leader in the organization, even when he's injured. He's getting back on the court.
He shows up every single game. Like, if you watch a Warriors game and they pan to the side, they start talking about Klay Thompson's return, camera always pans to the sideline. There's Klay Thompson. He's at every game. And when he's not there, he's on his Instagram story selling his boat. Trust me, I get plenty of messages about it. Klay Thompson has gone live. You click on it, it's just him and like a little white captain hat sailing on his boat.
Dude, Captain Klay, he loves the water.
He's a great guy. He's going to be all they need 80%. They need 16 points and good defense, and they are set.
I think if they get that, there's pretty much nothing the Warriors can't do.
Let's look at the All-Star voting. Let's talk about that.
So stupid. Kyrie and Klay are both up there right now in votes. Neither one of them have played this season. And Andrew Wiggins is like 5th among forwards in All-Star voting. Andrew Wiggins is not an All-Star player. Like, I'm not going to hate on the guy. Andrew Wiggins has been really good this season. But, man, he is not an All-Star this year.
I don't know. From what I've heard, it's the usual faces on top, like Katie, LeBron, Steph, Giannis. There have been a few push. Like, yeah, I saw Kyrie and Klay are making a push. And like you said, Kyrie's been back for one game and Klay isn't back yet. But there's also like Ja Morant, Jared Allen.
Ja Morant called it.
They're also making surprising pushes because they're having great years.
Currently up front in the West is LeBron in the front. It's LeBron, Jokic, Paul George, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Anthony Davis. I'm sorry. Anthony Davis shouldn't be on this. Shouldn't be so high. Andrew Wiggins shouldn't be very high. Carmelo Anthony's 8th over Rudy Gobert right now, who I don't think Carmelo should be on this list either. I like all the guards. Steph, Luka, Ja, Klay. Why is Klay there? Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Dame, Russ, Anthony Edwards. You look in the East. I like the East better. You got KD, Giannis, Joel, Tatum, Butler, Allen, Adebayo, Miles Bridges, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Nikola Vucevic. And then you look at the guards. You got DeMar, Harden, Trey, Zach LaVine, LaMelo. Kyrie shouldn't be here. Derrick Rose, he's always going to be up in these votes every year.
Yeah.
D Rose could be a backup playing 6 minutes a game, and he's going to always be on these lists.
Popularity contest. Yep.
Tyler Hero, Darius Garland, Fred Van Fleet. I hate his name. His last name bothers me because the 2 big V's always making a V sound. I hate it. But honestly, I'm looking at this list. I like it. It's a good list. And then you always have the random group of weirdos. I'm kind of all for this all-star voting. This is probably the best one the last few years because it doesn't have someone like Caruso or Taco Fall on this list for some reason. So,
which star player could we see moved in a trade? Sorry.
Well, apparently the Hawks and the Kings are looking for Ben Simmons.
Mhm.
Thought that's interesting. It should be thrown out there that 2 more landing spots have opened.
I think there's going to be a lot of landing spots for Ben Simmons opening, especially as we get closer to the deadline. A lot more people are going to want him. I can see a lot of openings coming for Ben Simmons very soon. I really hope he gets traded. I'm tired of dealing with him. Go play somewhere else, for God's sake. But when I'm thinking about stars, I'm kind of looking towards what the Pacers are doing. Pacers have come out and said they're willing to trade pretty much everybody on that team. Domantas Sabonis is a top 5 rebounder, great offensive forward, all-star player. I've also heard that he might go to the Hawks for Clint Capella, which I would be very interested in. I've also heard about Miles Turner, who the Warriors have been wanting for years.
Right.
He goes to the Warriors, they get a very good paint defender. That's going to be very interesting. And then, of course, Ben Simmons, who, honestly, for pure chaos, I want Ben Simmons to go to the Lakers. I want him to go be a Laker. Please send Ben Simmons to get bullied by LeBron James. That would be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Actually, my question for a Warriors trade is now with Klay having a return date, how much do you think they need to make a big name trade?
Well, I mean, if they're also going to get back, if we're looking at who's coming back, they're also getting back James Wiseman, who, honestly, I look at him, I think he's a cheap knockoff of Miles Turner. Very similar play style. Big guy, great at blocks, a decent rebounder, shoot on all 3 levels. The issue is we've seen Miles Turner go out there and get 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 blocks versus James Wiseman, who we really haven't seen much from. You'd be getting someone a little older, because Miles Turner is like 25, 26. He's not crazy old. But he does everything James Wiseman does at a higher level. This man has led the league in blocks multiple times. He's been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate the last 4 years. You're pretty much just getting a much better defensive player. And you'd be giving up a younger person that the Pacers are kind of looking for. They're looking for a rebuild. They want young pieces. James Wiseman's and number 3 overall pick. That's he's number 2 pick, I think. That's a pretty good piece to get added. And who knows?
That's
Warriors have
interesting.
the trade pieces. So, I mean.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at other stars, Kyrie Irving, I still think could leave. Depends on what happens with him. Be interesting. There's not a lot of. I mean, Bradley Beal's always on the market, but I don't like Bradley Beal and think he's heavily overrated. But he's on the market, so the Lakers really wanted him before they traded for Russ. That literally was a quote at the beginning of the season. I don't know if you heard about that one. They were listening to try to get Bradley Beal, and then the Wizards pretty much said, "We'll give you Russ," and they said, "Sure." So,
well, actually, now that you bring up Russ, very low trade value, it seems like.
I think his trade value is kind of up there because you get a great guy, and he's had a bit of a turnover issue this year. Some of his shots haven't been amazing, but for a team that's just looking for an above-average defender, a guy that can go out there and get you points, give you assists, get you rebounds, Russ is a great guy to trade for, and I think he has a bit more value than people are really acting like because of how he's been playing. The guy's been playing really well. He really has. He's like the only one on that team helping LeBron. The issue is the Lakers have zero spacing. When you watch a Lakers game, every defender is right there in the post. There is no room for Russ to work. There's nothing going on. Spacing on that team is absolutely horrible. But then you get like random Russ highlights of him lobbing it up to LeBron, doing an athletic alley-oop pass. I think there's more value for Russ than people act like. But yeah, I don't think the market's as big as it was, say, a week or two ago.
Yeah, from what I've read, it doesn't look like anybody's looking for a Russell Westbrook trade.
NFL.
Oh boy, cooking in the NFL, boys.
Who do y'all want y'all's teams to go against in the playoffs?
Do you want to go first on this, Luke?
My first bet, obviously, if you get like a lower ranked team and you're, say, Green Bay or Dallas or someone that's ranked high, LA, you're like, okay, we have to play San Francisco. That'll probably be a first round. That's how I am with Dallas versus Philadelphia. I think that'll be, good team versus someone who barely made the playoffs. That I think that would be a pretty easy first round for Dallas. But the team I want to talk about, Arizona, I kind of want to play them again because we saw and beat up Arizona team that's struggling. Like I said, struggle to beat a Dallas team that was beating themselves for the majority of the game. And if honestly it's true what people say about which Dallas are we getting this game, if they struggle to beat the bad Dallas team, they're going to get destroyed by the good Dallas team and it won't be close. So I kind of like facing Arizona again. I think if we do and things go right, this will be the perfect revenge story.
As a Cowboys fan, I actually really like that take.
So,
all right, Nick.
I'm looking at these teams that are of course here to play the Eagles and where we're seating right now. I want to play the Cowboys. I want to play the Bucks. We barely lost to the Bucks at their full strength earlier this season. When we were
so did we actually.
When we were looking bad, we've gotten better, and the Bucks have gotten worse. They've lost not Michael Gallup. They lost Chris Godwin.
No, that's us. Yeah, no, that's us.
That's my next part. They lost Chris Godwin. They lost Antonio Brown. We're going to see what this team has. They still have Mike Evans. Leonard Fournette, I think, might come back for the playoffs, but I don't think that'll be until later. So they're not at 100%. It's I understand not wanting to play Tom Brady in the playoffs. I really do get that. The Bucs secondary has been middle of the pack. Their whole thing has been their defensive line, which when the Eagles have played top run-stopping teams like the Saints, we've destroyed them. We got 200 rush yards. We got a good offense. Our defense looked good. We play the Cowboys, who right now are struggling. You might not want to say it. They are. They're beating themselves up. They lost Michael Gallup. Their offense looks crazy. They cannot commit to a run game. Their defense is heavily overrated.
Everyone's injured. Woo!
Woohoo!
Your defense is heavily overrated because of your turnover margin numbers. I'll stand what I want. I want to play the Cowboys. I want to play the Bucks, because those are two teams that are top teams that can't get their crap together right now. They just can't. They do not play consistently. You look at the Bucks, you're thinking they're falling apart. You look at the Cowboys, you say, which Cowboy team are we playing? Look at the Cardinals. Your same work for the Cardinals stake. Which Cardinals are you going to get? Which Cowboys are you going to get? I wouldn't mind playing either one of those teams. I think we have a very strong chance either way. And I just want to say this, Luke. You want to say about a team barely making the playoffs? We were in a rebuild year, and we still did better than the other teams in our division. I don't want to hear it.
The other teams in our division are Washington and the New York Giants.
Nick mentioned Antonio Brown. Let's talk about him. He walked off the field.
Dude, I was
something's wrong. Clearly something's wrong.
I was on his side. I wanted to be on his side because the report is that Bruce Arians told him, get in the game. Antonio Brown told him, I'm hurt. Like, I am in a lot of pain right now. And Bruce Arians told him, then leave. Get out. Get off the field.
But apparently that might not be true because apparently Antonio Brown never actually told anybody he was hurt and didn't go to any medical staff and just kind of took himself out of the game. So who knows?
Report is that Bruce Arians was trying to get him to play, and he was pretty much saying, hey, he came up to Bruce Arians and said, why am I not getting touches? Why am I not getting the ball thrown my way? What's happening here? Because he has incentives for extra money.
Mm.
So from Arians' view, what Arians said, it's Antonio Brown being money greedy. From Antonio Brown's, it's I tried to stay healthy and my coach wouldn't let me. Because according to him, the Bucks gave him a very strong painkiller that the NFL does not want their players taking. And this is not the first time Bruce Arians has done this. He did it with Jameis. He did it with Tom. He's very notorious for putting in injured players and making them play through the pain. I think there's been 6 or 7 reports of Bruce Arians doing this kind of thing. So for a while, I was with Antonio Brown. I was on his side.
Yeah, I mean, that report, yeah.
Like everything, he had the facts, he had the notes, he had everything he needed. Then he went on a podcast, and what he said about Tom Brady really ticked me off. Like, I'm all for Tom Brady slander, but what he said about Tom only liked me because I could play well for him. He only took care of me because I could play well for him, because this is a game, this is a sport, it's all this is. The man lets you sleep on his couch. He got you your last 2 job opportunities in New England, and then he did it again in Tampa Bay. You don't look at someone like that who's let you sleep on his couch. You were in his house. He got you millions of dollars. He gave you a chance when nobody else wanted you. And you tell people, he didn't care about me. He just wanted me to play well. Which could be true. I could definitely see that being true. But that's not something you say.
Yeah,
that's a
like,
really
obviously
jackass thing to say.
I hated that too, honestly. That's what makes me the most mad too. But obviously we don't know what Brady is like in his personal life. We don't know what's going on in the locker room. But I can't tell what he's mad about. Is he mad about his injury? Is he mad about the coaches? Is he mad about his players? Is he mad about his contract? Who knows? Like, is it all of it? Who knows? I've got no reason to trust what Antonio Brown says, and I've got little reason to trust what Bruce Arians says.
Here's the thing. What if it's just like a big attention money grab? I mean,
that would be
it's not a
Brown thing to do. That's just how we know his character.
I don't know if I would call it a money grab anymore, but him being released.
Yeah. Which, with him being released, if he releases that MRI and some facts come up that lead to Bruce Arians and the Buccaneers organization doing that, they are in deep crap because they cannot cut him for that. They can't. Like, that is
I would assume
part of the NFL rules. You cannot cut a player for being injured.
I would assume since he was cut and it took so long that AB is in the wrong here. Because you saw it took like 3 days, maybe longer to cut him.
It took too long. For a while they said, "Oh, he's not a Buc anymore," but they didn't cut him. They didn't cut him until after.
I think that's because they were actually checking the facts.
They could have been checking the facts, or they could have been hiding something. 3 days is enough time to get some money around to people to keep their mouths shut, which we have seen NFL teams do in the past. I'm very iffy on this. I want to be on Antonio Brown's side, but the guy's a nutcase. He really is. He needs some help. He needs to see a doctor. I'm not going to go as far and people say like he has a CTE, he has something wrong. I think he is bipolar, and I think he is a ticking time bomb of doing something crazy. All I know is that whoever Mike Tomlin, his therapist, I freaking need it. The man deal with Antonio Brown for years. He dealt with Claypool. He's dealing with Juju. He dealt with the whole Big Ben situation, and he's had a winning record every single 7 or 8 straight seasons. Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hats off to you, man. I think you're a very overrated coach, but good God, you have dealt with some bullshit.
I don't want to be on anybody's side here, but regarding Tom Brady, when they won a championship, AB was referring to Tom as a big brother and a role model. And now they're in the playoffs, but they're struggling. And suddenly Tom is just this awful person that never really cared about him. Like, well, that's a pretty big contrast there. What do you really feel? Like, what are we supposed to believe now?
I was about to say, I actually looked this up a little bit too. And one of the comments that he made was about how Tom Brady was such a good friend, but he can't do anything. Like Tom Brady can't do anything on his own.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, then.
Tom Brady needs me to be good. I'm America's hero.
The Tom Brady not being good without help has been a narrative for years. Let's be honest here. He had Bill Belichick. He had that Patriots defense and O-line. And then recently I've seen some stuff about, actually makes sense. Like, Tom Brady, he doesn't play. He's had some very questionable playoff games where he scored, 16 points. Like, even against the Chiefs. What was that? What did that end score for Super Bowl? Wasn't it, 16-3? Because the Bucs defense was so good, and they just shut down the Chiefs. Let's imagine the Chiefs at their full strength there. 16 points was not going to be enough to stop them. But
the Super Bowl.
I'm not on anybody's side here.
Yeah, don't be on anybody's side here. There is no good side.
This whole thing is a mess.
Super Bowl 55 was 31-9 Tampa Bay.
Okay, still stand by my point. I think if the Chiefs had their O-line healthy, I think they score more than 31 points without the help of that Bucs top defense. Because let's be honest, when Brady got traded to the Bucs, this is not the team that the Bucs were. There's been a lot of additions to that team since Tom Brady joined.
Yeah,
he did not bring the Bucs to a Super Bowl. He came to the Bucs, and the rest came with him. Because Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette. But yeah,
it's not the same Buccaneers. I don't think this Bucs team will go deep in the playoffs this year at all, especially now. So yeah, no clear side here. It's all still shrouded in mystery.
Moving on to award predictions. To kick us off, let's start with award for Coach of the Year.
Well, I think there's two coaches, Zach Taylor and Matt LaFleur, but I would give the edge to Zach Taylor here just because Green Bay has Aaron Rodgers, MVP candidate. So
that's what I got.
I like what Zach Taylor. Yeah, I like what Zach Taylor's been doing in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow because that's he's in the running for comeback player of the year. When Cincinnati has been doing, I think is more worthy of getting coach of the year.
Because my thing is, we all know that Cincinnati has problems. Their defense isn't consistent. It's a great defense, but it's not consistent. Their O-line is horrible. They traded away probably their best offensive line piece, or they let him walk, either one. But he's taken the pieces that he has, and he's made them really good. He's made that defense really good. Even with a bad O-line, they're still able to dial up the deep ball. Joe Burrow's still able to get deep passes to Jamar Chase. He has probably the best young receiving core in the NFL. And he's made them all superstars. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I can't remember the third guy off the top of my head right now, but I know he's also really good. But He's done amazing things. I think that Zach Taylor is going to win this award hands down.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Micah Parsons.
TJ Watt.
Look, I will admit, I don't think I've been giving TJ Watt enough credit in the past, but as good as he is, I still want to see Micah Parsons win this.
As much as I think Micah Parsons has a chance, I don't think he will. TJ Watt he's a sack away from tying the all-time sack record. He's up there in tackles. He's an outside linebacker. Yes, Micah Parsons has more tackles. That's because he plays a different position. He's a middle linebacker. TJ Watt is an outside linebacker, edge rusher. It's a different position. You can't look at numbers like tackles.
Well, we've seen Micah do the same job.
Yeah, we have, but at the same time, TJ Watt's doing his job. Micah Parsons has done different jobs. He's been used in coverage. You don't use TJ Watt in coverage. TJ Watt has a much higher double team rate. He's had better. His numbers as an edge rusher are amazing versus Micah Parsons as a linebacker. But this is kind of hard because they're two different positions. You can't look at a corner and then look at edge rusher and compare their sack numbers because those are going to be different.
Yeah.
As much as I think
Micah
Micah Parsons is really good defensively this year, and he has been, I think TJ Watt's going to win the award.
I think what you said about TJ Watt being the best at his job is true. But I think what Micah Parsons is doing as a rookie and doing it all to the extent he is, I think that makes him deserve it more. Like, look, TJ Watt is really good. Haven't been giving him enough credit. Micah Parsons has done more in 1 year, and I think he's doing it better than anybody else right now.
Offensive Player.
I just don't agree with your take completely, Luke. I really do think that TJ Watt is far and away the defensive player of the year, and I think he is honestly better. I get what you're saying, but we can't.
Yeah, they both have a chance.
You look at Micah Parsons, you can't tell me he's the best linebacker in the league because I can name better linebackers than Micah Parsons this year. I look at TJ Watt, and I can't really name a better edge rusher this year. Like, Aaron Donald's always going to be up there, but Aaron Donald's numbers are not as good as TJ Watt's. And
isn't Aaron Donald like third in the race?
Third or fourth. But last year he won it because of TJ Watt's numbers were lower for double team and double team win rate and pass rush pressure rate and all this advanced stat BS. TJ Watt had much better stats. And this year he's being double teamed more. He's been winning his double teams more. His numbers are closer to Aaron Donald's. And he's putting up much better, actually progressive numbers like sacks, tackles.
Well, what you want to say about sacks is TJ is 1 sack away from tying the record. Micah Parsons is 3 sacks away from the NFL rookie sack record. They are both right there at breaking records.
See, but here's the difference. That's a rookie sack record versus the all-time NFL sack record. There's a very
TJ Watt is not a rookie.
We're not looking at the defensive rookie of the year. We're looking I'm gonna cut into defensive rookie of the year real quick. Just not on a little bit out of order. Micah Parsons has got that in the bag. Oh, hands down. There's no doubt that he's going to be.
If he doesn't win DPO year, he wins defensive rookie of the year easily.
He'll win defensive rookie. He's the best. He's the best rookie defender. He's just not the best defensive player. That is TJ Watt.
No, I think it's close between them. I think it's closer than you think.
I don't think it's close. All right, Tori.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year.
I feel like we could definitely debate here.
That was y'all back and forth.
So the 2 front runners here are Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor.
Who do you have?
Jonathan Taylor. Is the Colts. JT. Okay.
He leads the league in rushing yards, receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, catches. He leads receivers in every single number. And this is a guy going into the season we didn't expect much from. And as much as you want to say, you look at the other receivers on his team, receiver is very much a personal position. You can say he's played like a slot, he's played like a fullback. He's doing his job darn well. And even when he plays against corner, he wins against elite. He wins against top corners. But then, if you want to say he doesn't play top corners consistently, what players have been good against top corners? I mean, every single time Jalen Ramsey plays a top wide receiver, there's always some stat that he's shut them down or shut down a top corner. Darius Slay being locked down against top receivers. Like, that's just a thing that's going to happen. Top corners are going to win. It's going to happen. That's why they're paid big bucks and why they're considered a top corner. Cooper Kupp's putting up great numbers. Jonathan Taylor has an elite O-line. He's putting up big numbers because he's also playing teams like the Texans. Cooper Kupp's playing teams like the Cardinals. He's playing teams like, who else is in that division? The 49ers. He's playing really good defensive teams, and he's putting up great numbers. I think Cooper Kupp's been doing better because that's a guy that he's putting up numbers, and a receiver is a much more independent position than running back is.
Okay, I can see that. That's some good points. My argument for Jonathan Taylor is that he's taken a worse overall team, especially offense, and is putting up like astronomical numbers with them, like Cooper Kupp is with the Rams, right? Jonathan Taylor is at recently, I think he's at 1,734 rushing yards and 18 rushing touchdowns, which are both franchise records for the Colts. Now, granted, he doesn't have this year. He doesn't have a chance of hitting 28 total rushing touchdowns, which would be the record, I think. But he does have a thin chance of hitting 2,000-yard mark for rushing, because what you said about them playing, I think you said the Texans. The Colts are playing the Jaguars. Is that their last game? I don't remember. But basically, Jonathan Taylor is rushing for almost record-setting amounts on an overall worse offense. Like, when you think Colts, you have to think Jonathan Taylor because he's carrying that offense with a worse quarterback in Carson Wentz and probably worse pass options on the outside. Like, Cooper Kupp has taken an explosive offense with better pieces and is doing great with them. Jonathan Taylor has taken a worse offense and has put it on his back.
What other pieces does Cooper Kupp have? Name another receiver on that team. That's not Odell, who joined 4 games ago.
Well, I was about to say Odell, but
name their running back. Name another receiver.
Hold on. I don't like the Rams, so I don't keep up.
He's first in receptions.
It's Cooper Kupp. It's Cooper Kupp. It's Kupp, Odell, Van Jefferson, and Tyler Higbee.
Second-year player.
And their running back is Sony Michael. I don't know how to pronounce it.
They have 2 Pro Bowl O-linemen. Cooper Kupp is the only third person on that team besides Stafford who is mentionable on that offense. I look at the Colts. I look at
they have Odell now.
They have Odell. Exactly. They have another top receiver, and he's still putting up great numbers. There's no other running back on the Colts. And the Colts, it's something when you can name offensive linemen. I can name offensive linemen on the Colts. You had to Google other receivers on the Rams. You want to say that?
I don't care about the Rams.
Dude, he has 138.
I don't give a crap about the Rams.
How many yards rushing did you say that Jonathan Taylor has?
Like a little over 1,700.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp has 1,829 yards receiving. He has more yards.
That's not that much more. Okay, that's not that much more.
15 touchdowns, which leads to he is first in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He's about to have the triple crown of wide receivers this year.
Look, I'm not saying Cooper Kupp isn't the favorite, but I think this race is really close and could go either way.
Definitely.
I think Jonathan Taylor has a really good chance for it.
We're a podcast. We got to debate a little bit here. Come on now. Like I said, either player could win it, but I got to have a little bit of debate going on here.
Reviewing Rookie of the Year, you guys said Micah Parsons.
For Defensive Rookie of the Year, yes.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Sorry, what about Offensive Rookie of the Year?
It's Jamar.
Jamar Chase.
It's Jamar Chase. As much as
guy's insane.
Dude, Jamar Chase has just been for a while, I think it was definitely Mac Jones. Mac Jones has put up great numbers. Jamar Chase just had 2 or 3 straight games where he's gone over 200 yards receiving. That has just boosted him over everybody. which I will also admit he's played some very questionable corners. Like against the Chiefs, he played Sorensen, who all year we've been making fun of for being horrible in coverage. But it's definitely Jamar Chase at this point. Like, there's no other way.
There's no question.
Look at that. Like, I want to give Mac Jones his praise because he definitely deserves it. But it's so obviously not Jamar Chase. Or it's obviously Jamar Chase. There's no other way.
And no one else, yeah.
At this point, it's very much one-sided. As much as the only reason I see him losing is because of quarterback bias. But
I don't think that'll be the case here.
And finally, the award for MVP.
Okay.
Right now it's Aaron Rodgers.
It's Aaron Rodgers, but I'm going to kind of go back to my offensive player of the year. Don't say anything. I think MVP should be Jonathan Taylor. I don't think he's been the best offensive player. I think that is Cooper Kupp. I do agree that Jonathan Taylor's value for most valuable player is higher than Cooper Kupp's because there are more receivers on the field, because of his usage and the value as a player. Jonathan Taylor has carried his team in stats to help the team. I think his value is higher than Cooper Kupp's for MVP.
I'm glad you said that, yeah.
I think Cooper Kupp is the better offensive player this year. I want to make that clear so that nobody comes at me later listening to the pod saying, you said Jonathan Taylor was an offensive player, but he's MVP. Yes. Different points. One's a top offensive player. The other is the most valuable. One is stats, while the other is true value. I think Jonathan Taylor is more valuable to that team.
I'm glad you said that.
As much as I want to say, like, oh, Aaron Rodgers has been so good. He's so amazing. Jonathan Taylor's been much more valuable to his team because that's a top offense. That's a top offensive, no matter how you look at it. That defense has been amazing. Aaron Rodgers has just thrown a lot of touchdowns. He's 9th in yards, tied for 3rd in touchdowns, and he's first in QBR. He's thrown 35 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's amazing. Yes, I think it should be Jonathan Taylor this year. But it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. There's no doubt. It's MVP is a quarterback award now. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
But like I've been saying, I'm glad you said what you said about Jonathan Taylor because I think the problem with comparing Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor is kind of similar to Mike Parsons and TJ Watt, where you're comparing a running back to a wide receiver, and a wide receiver is, in my opinion, naturally going to have more impressive numbers because that's a way more explosive position at times.
You can't tell me at the beginning of this season you thought Cooper Kupp was going to be the number 1 receiver in the league.
Joke's on you. I didn't care about anybody but the Cowboys until we started doing this.
Okay. Nobody can come and tell me that thought Cooper Kupp was going to be a top receiver. Nobody did. Nobody thought that. We knew Jonathan Taylor was going to be a very good running back. Did we think he'd be the best? No. Would he be the best if Derrick Henry had stayed healthy? No. But we knew Jonathan Taylor was a top guy. Like, it was Derrick Henry, it was Nick Chubb, and then it was like a big spread of guys that could be 3rd. But Jonathan Taylor was definitely in that talk. So.
All right, boys, it's time for pick'ems.
The last pick'em. Luke, when we get done with this pick'em after this week, I'm going to need you to go and look through everything, listen to the pod, tally up our results.
I already said do that. I already said that I would go and find everything. And Luke, I'll report back to you, but I said that I would go through them. All right.
I was trying to force Luke to do it. Let me pressure him. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure. We don't condone that. Last week, Luke went 11-7. I went 14-4, and Nick won this week, beating me by 1 game.
I won.
Hey, I don't even care because I still hold the record for having a 2-week in a row win. So
who cares? I won.
Loser. I care. I'm not a sore loser. Thank you very much. I said I didn't care that you win. I'm just glad
that you immediately followed that with but I have the record for 2 weeks in a row.
I'm better.
Okay.
All right. Starting with today's games because it's Saturday.
Saturday games.
Kansas City at Denver.
Oh, Kansas City. Chiefs. Kill them. Chiefs are going to kill them. I'm sorry. Denver's running with Drew Lock right now. They've looked so bad lately. Yeah, it's going to be the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Tori's getting ready for the war that's about to blow out here.
Please don't start yelling. The only other Saturday game is Dallas at Philadelphia.
Dallas.
I'll be peaceful. I picked Philly out of pride. But the Cowboys are going to play their starters this game. They're playing for seeding.
What starters we have left? I chose Dallas. I didn't lock them for that reason. We have so many people out.
The Eagles are supposedly not supposed to be playing their starters because we have so many guys gone due to COVID. But we might still play. It's very questionable because Nick Sirianni's saying, like, I want to play our starters. I want to carry this momentum that we've built up into the playoffs. And I'm afraid taking a game off would kill our momentum, which I also would. But, dude, we have so many people hurt. One of the things I've also been hearing is that he might just play them, like, the first half and then have the backups go in the second half. Or he might just play them, like, the first quarter. Just to have, like, the starters on, get them playing, play a playoff team, play a team that we might be playing in the playoffs, albeit beat up. Get some momentum against the team, and then put in the backups. So if it was starters versus starters, and if both team starters play the whole game, the Eagles are winning. But
Dallas is winning.
It doesn't seem like it. I still pick the Eagles out of pride, but if the backups start coming in, I will take this loss.
Yeah, I think
there's no other way to say that.
I feel like there's pretty good reasons for both teams to do what Green Bay is going to do this week and, like, maybe get a lead and then pack it up.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a good move not to lock this one, Luke.
It's just too chaotic of a game to do anything.
It's too chaotic, but I went Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know what the game plan is this week.
No one does. Neither team wants to admit anything before they go into the game because both teams want to have the other team on edge.
All right, moving on to Sunday's games. Cincinnati at Cleveland.
I'm going Cincinnati.
I think Cincinnati is going to rest some of their starters, but I definitely think they still win. Cleveland.
I went Cincinnati and underdogged them.
Fair. Cincinnati. Oh, is the underdog right now.
Yeah, they are.
Because they're resting their starters. That's fair enough.
Green Bay at Detroit.
Green Bay.
Half a point. 0.5 favorites because of them resting their starters, man.
I'm banking on Green Bay just getting a lead in, like, the first or second quarter and then just riding that through.
Dude, I would not be surprised if Green Bay's backups are still better than Detroit. But I have Green Bay. I think they're going to win, albeit with their backups. Detroit's just that bad. But I'll tell you, when I got this sheet and I saw 0.5 favorites, I stared at it for a minute because I was so confused.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, in Detroit, don't they have Jared Goff out for this game?
I'm pretty sure he's been out a couple of games now because of an injury. So I would not be surprised.
I think I go with Green Bay here.
Hang on 1 second. Let me, Jesus Christ, open the wrong website. Blah, blah, blah. Status, news. He's questionable as far as I can tell. Likely to play in Lions finale versus Packers. That is it. It doesn't say yes.
Okay, so questionable.
It's
probably a game time decision then.
Likely to win. That is literally the first thing. QB Goff likely to play in Lions finale versus Packers. Not yes, not no. Likely. And then his status on ESPN is questionable. So, I mean, this guy was a first round pick. Sorry.
All right. Chicago at Minnesota.
This is the
Vikings.
This is a battle for the pride at this point. Neither one of these teams care anymore. They're both losing their head coaches in this season. The difference is Nagy's fighting for his job. Mike Zimmer just seems like he wants to cause as much chaos as he can before he leaves. I picked Minnesota because they're just a better team than Chicago. I would not be surprised if Chicago won this game.
I'm going Minnesota.
What's funny is every week that we do pick'ems, I have a game where I start to put one team and then I end up putting the other because like something's nagging at me saying that, that's our team. So I actually went with Chicago.
Fair enough.
This was the game that was nagging at me. And I know the Bears don't have Hicks, but I'm trusting my gut on this one. So
that's definitely fair enough.
Washington at New York Giants.
Washington. Who cares? No one cares.
It's going to be Washington because the Giants are pretty much just throwing their season at this point. They're trying to get that top pick.
It'll be Washington unless the stadium collapses, and then there will be no winner. So
that stadium is such trash. Oh, man. Do we want to take a quick poll on what we think Washington's new name is going to be?
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Let's just do that real quick while we're talking about that. I think it'll be the Admirals or the Commanders because they're Washington and it's going to be something political. But
okay, I'm thinking. I think it's Red Hawks is one of their names. I think it's going to be Red Hawks or Presidents.
See, they did like a light jersey review where they like showed like the collar of the jersey and that was it, like a hint. And along the collar, they have stars along the collar, which is very much like a military uniform.
Yeah.
That's very much an admiral or a commander type thing. So that's where my vote is. And
that makes sense. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if President was one of those two based off the stars.
Yeah, I could
That's
definitely
because, but I think it could be any one of those three just based off the color.
I'm betting on Presidents more than Red Hawks, but
yeah. I just like that for a while. We were all like, why is it Washington football team? I'm always going to call them the Redskins. And now people are like, oh, they're getting a new name? Too bad. I'm still going to refer to them as the Washington football team. And I'm just sitting there like, so we're just never going to call them their true name, are we?
Nah. There's no reason to. They suck.
True.
All right. This one's an easy pick. Indianapolis at Jacksonville.
I locked Indianapolis.
I
picked Indianapolis, but I didn't lock it. But the Jaguars are like 6-0 the last few years at home versus the Colts. And this is the kind of game. It's been like last 3 or 4 years, they are 6-0 at home versus the Colts. But the funny thing is, this is the kind of game that Carson Wentz loses. This is what he's known for. This is such a Carson Wentz game because if they lose, the Colts don't make the playoffs, and then that leads to a really hilarious situation for the Raiders-Chargers game, which I will talk about when we get to that pick. But this is the kind of game that Carson Wentz is known to lose, get benched, and then his backup comes in and wins the game for him. What would be even funnier is that his backup is Sam Ehlinger, the old Texas quarterback, which I would also root against either way. So I'm just rooting against the Colts. I want the Jags to win. I picked the Colts, but God, I want the Jags to win. This
being the last week of picks, I'm sorry. I will never trust Jacksonville again. Never, ever. I made the mistake.
Fair enough.
I'm done. All right, Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
So I don't trust anything Baltimore's doing anymore. And this is Big Ben's last game. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh.
I don't like either one of these teams. Can I just skip this pick? Like, honestly. I picked Baltimore.
Do you guys
I don't like either one of these teams. I don't like either one of these. I picked Baltimore because they're the favorite, but I don't like either one of these teams, honestly.
I agree with Nick.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch my pick because we're still on the pod and I can do that now. I'm picking Pittsburgh. I want TJ Watt to break the sack record just to cement him into that defensive player of the year, even higher than what he already is now. I want TJ Watt to break the sack record. I want Big Ben to go out with a hoorah. I'm gonna pick the Steelers. I will fix my sheet later, but I'm gonna pick Pittsburgh here. I'll leave you on your own.
The favorite. I'm sticking with the favorite. I'm alone again. It's fine. Tennessee at Houston.
I love
Going with the
Tennessee
Titans.
over Houston. Tennessee wants that 1 seed. They want it
Yeah.
so bad because that's another game for Derrick Henry to rest. And
Yeah.
dude, Tennessee has got the 1 seed without Derrick Henry. Now imagine them with Derrick Henry. I still think Ryan Tannehill is a horrible quarterback. I still think he's being carried by that defense. It's A.J. Brown. It's Julio Jones. It's Derrick Henry. How can you not root for those guys? I want the Colts to win. I locked them to beat Houston. It's going to be interesting.
The Titans, not the Colts, but yeah.
New Orleans at Atlanta.
New Orleans.
I think New Orleans is going to win just to make themselves look better.
Agreed.
And I think the Falcons are they're in playoff contention when they shouldn't be. I kind of think they might want to blow this game because I think they're going to draft a quarterback this year or trade for one. I think they're going to move on from Matt Ryan. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. But I think the Saints are going to win this game.
New York Jets at Buffalo.
Hear me out.
Kill them.
This is the game Buffalo loses.
Josh Allen is a must-win game. If they win this game, they lock the division. If they lose, then the Patriots, I think, take the division. I'm not sure if they take it or not. But this is a must-win game for the Bills. They have to win this game to lock the division. It's the Jets. I don't trust them with anything. I trusted them to upset Tom Brady and make everyone in the world happy. It didn't happen. I don't trust that team anymore. I will admit, Zach Wilson is looking way better this year. Like he is, I think Zach Wilson honestly is better than Trevor Lawrence on the rookie QB scale this year because Zach Wilson has shown improvement. He's gotten better. We look at how he's done the last few games. He's looked better. His decision making has looked better. Trevor Lawrence hasn't. Is that a matter? I think that's a matter of coaching as well. Zach Wilson's looked better. But that being said, the Jets are losing. They suck.
Yeah, the Jets
gotta make that cemented in. The Jets suck.
San Francisco at LA Rams.
The Rams.
I want the Rams.
I underdog San Francisco.
That's fair. San Francisco's a playoff team.
That's the thing. If they lose, they're not. This is a must-win for San Francisco. They have to win this game to make the playoffs. Like, this is the only way they make the playoffs if they win this game. If not, they're out, and the Saints are in because the Saints would win their game, and they lose the playoffs. This is a must-win game for the 49ers. I really hope they don't play Jimmy Garoppolo because if they do, they're losing. But
he's out, isn't he?
No, he is questionable.
Oh.
And if he's anywhere decent to go, they're going to play him. Because for some reason, they love Jimmy G. I don't know why, but they do. But I underdog San Francisco because this is a must-win. It's going to be interesting, though.
New England at Miami.
Miami, I freaking called it. Suck it.
As much as I want Tua to win.
No, I don't. I hate Tua. I hate him so much. New England's going to go out there and kill Miami, and I'm going to laugh the entire time.
Yeah.
New England. Seattle at Arizona.
Arizona
struggled, but Seattle's horrible.
Yeah. At least Arizona snapped their win streak against Dallas. Like, that's about the only good thing they have going for them right now. But that's enough to beat Seattle.
Carolina at Tampa Bay.
Going Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay is going to win that game because
I think, yeah.
It's just a horrible team. Carolina's falling apart, man.
This is the game they use to figure out what their plan is for the playoffs.
And guys, the final game of Week 18 Pick'ems. LA Chargers at Las Vegas.
Vegas.
Tie.
I'm going Vegas on an underdog.
I picked the Chargers because they're a better team, but I would not be surprised if Vegas wins this game. But
I agree with Nick. That's where I went.
From an earlier pick, if the Jags beat the Colts, both the Raiders and the Chargers make the playoffs. Both of them do. They literally just have to nail it out. And that game, the Jags game, is before that game, so they would know.
Yeah, true.
Before what the thing is, though, they're division rivals. The pettiness might kick in, and one of them might fake a kneel, and that's where it's gonna be really. One of them is just gonna fake a kneel and throw it downfield, and it's gonna be hilarious. And I trust Justin Herbert's arm over Derek Carr's arm to do that.
I don't know. Derek Carr and the Raiders' offense has kind of been pretty surprising this season.
Yeah, but the Chargers actually have considered a playoff team. The Vegas has too much going on. I still stand by it. They've looked decent because of Derek Carr. The Chargers actually have like a whole team. They have a good running back. They have good wide receivers. They have a top 3 quarterback this year. I will die on that hill. Mm-hmm. They have good defensive players.
Well, I will say Las Vegas has a winning record in games they're underdogs. So
yeah, that's very true. I'm still
I think
high.
If I've got this right, the Raiders have been underdogs by 3 points or more 8 times and are 5-3.
Oh yeah, Las Vegas hates Las Vegas.
All right, guys, that's it this week, and that's our last pick'ems.
I guess. I mean, we'll still pick them for the rest of the playoffs, but
oh yeah, we'll have something going on for playoffs. But this is the last pick'em.
But that's the last pick'em.
Yeah.
It's been a ride. Content's gonna be hard to come by now because we don't have the NFL to keep falling back on.
Stay tuned, guys. We might have some special guests to help us talk about other sports.
Yeah, because God knows we know nothing about other sports. Stupid MLB lockout, no free agency going on, hurting us down. NFL going to playoffs, gonna be less to talk about. College sports, college football ending. We're actually gonna have to dig for content now. This is bull crap.
Very quickly, do you think the 2022 MLB season will start on time?
No.
No.
I think it's gonna be like a month back. That's what I'm thinking. Because there's just been no meetings. There's nothing going on. Like the only reports that we've gotten is that there's nothing to report.
Yeah.
So I mean,
honestly,
2 questions.
I wouldn't be surprised if COVID played another big part in it. With there being a new variant and everything, I would not be surprised. And COVID numbers spiking, I'd not be surprised if there was a pushback.
That's what I'm thinking as well. If they don't get it figured out by February, then I don't think it's gonna start on time. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to another episode of the All-Star Trio podcast. Follow us on all platforms. We are on every single social media platform, including TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Give us a like, give us a follow, and subscribe. Where you can listen to this podcast on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Please like, subscribe, and listen as much as you want. We'll be here every week on the week.
Hit the bell icon.
Turn on notifications. Slap the like button.
Leave a comment about what you want to hear us talk about or something.
Yeah, give us some ideas. If y'all want to start hearing about other sports, give us some stuff to talk about. Give us some topics, and we'll see what we can do. We're gonna start taking some fan opinions. Like, see what you think. Yeah. Give us something. We're just people you listen to on the radio. We don't know what we're talking about.
No clue.
All right. Thank you for listening to this episode, and that'll be all.
Peace.
See ya.
Podcast out.